Hi, I'm KK and today we're gonna talk about Moonlight Chicken. But before we come to an actual video, I want to give you a little disclaimer. This video is gonna have spoilers because I just want to share my thoughts and opinions about this drama. Now when you already know this, then we can come to an actual video. This drama has one season with 8 episodes, and this is a story about 6 guys: Jim, Wen, Li Ming, Alan and Gaipa. Jim is a guy who's running a restaurant with chicken, and for some reason people in his neighborhood call him uncle, including Gaipa, who just can't miss a chance to spend some time with Jim, and he has a crush on him. And one day Jim met Wen in his restaurant, and this is how the story starts. They start from one night stand, and it's supposed not to be complicated, but as we know, everything always needs to be complicated. And the more closer they get, the more problems seems to come to them, including Alan, who had his story with Wen. And during this whole story we will see how their feelings were slowly developed and yeah, what kind of consequences this one night stand had. And Jim is also raising his nephew Li Ming, who is a teenager, and he's also working in his uncle's restaurant, and because of one order he met Head, who is a deaf and very lonely boy who can't even go outside his house. And during this whole story we'll see how they will get closer, how they will start to be friends, and also something more. And well guys, we have our incredible actors earthmix, Khaotung, First, Gemini and Thought, and also our amazing director of, so it couldn't be bad drama, right? And yeah, it was okay. I'm gonna say this drama is 10 out of 10 definitely. This drama was beautiful, mature and realistic, and if you know me from here or from my TikTok, then you know that this is just a perfect combination for me, and it was probably impossible for me to not love this drama. And yeah, it turns out to be my 3rd favorite BL drama now. And seriously, everything was so well made in this drama, and it's just a beautiful work of art. It had many beautiful camera work, and seriously, there were so many amazing shots, and I just stopped this drama many times just to look at the shots and how beautiful they are and how well made this drama is. And I will try to show you now those shots because seriously, they need to be appreciated. And also light, coloring, acting, of course, story itself, and at the top of that, this beautiful intro and their amazing cover of The Moon Represents My Heart, which is a very beautiful song in every possible version, but I think that our actors and their cover is the most beautiful version of the song, and I keep listening this until today actually. And they showed so many problems, like being deaf and how it can complicate your life, ignorance from parents towards their kids, dealing with anxiety, what else, one night stands, falling out of love, and seriously many more. And they really know what they want to show, and they did this with full respect. And seriously, I have no words to describe how incredible this drama was. And yes, of course, as you can already hear, I fully recommend this drama if you didn't watch it yet. It's really worth it. But based on the comments, and I saw also a few discussion, okay, this is just my observation, okay, I think that older audience will appreciate this drama more, because I saw that many people who are teenagers or they very young, they don't understand this drama, and many of them think that Li Ming and her story is good, but when Li Ming, Alan and Gaipa is boring. And okay, I'm not saying that if you're a teenager you wouldn't understand this drama and you're not mature enough or something like this, or if you think that this drama is boring, you're somehow bad. No, of course not. It's just my observation that usually older audience appreciate this drama more. And I don't know, maybe you just need more maturity or at least a few years as an adult to understand Wen and Jim's story. I don't know, this is what I observe based on the comments and some discussion. And yeah, now I think we can come to spoiler part. Okay, I think we should start from Jim, because he was actually the first character which we know when we started in this drama. And in general, I like this character, and his story, like all those characters, was really heartbreaking for me, and I felt sad many times, but in general, I like this character, but he made me mad many times, especially the way how he was treating Li Ming, because he really often created a huge distance between them, and he treated Li Ming always just as a kid who shouldn't care about adult stuff, and you know what I'm talking about, right? And okay, first of all, this is really disrespectful towards your kid, and I will talk here as Jim as a parent, okay, because I just look at him like this, and I think also Li Ming look at his uncle more like a parent than to his actual mom. So let's treat him as a parent, okay? And you know, this is, first of all, very disrespectful towards your kid, and especially when you're raising a teenager whose adulthood is around the corner. And I was especially mad during the scene when they were talking about Li Ming's future, and okay, they was arguing actually. You know, this is not like Li Ming didn't have a plan. He had a really good plan actually, and even if he didn't, it's nothing wrong with this. He was really young, and you have the whole life to experience different stuff and understand who you are, what you want from life, and that kind of things. And I understand that Jim was worrying about Li Ming, and he won't do any good stuff for him, but he should let Li Ming decide. And again, it's not like Li Ming didn't have an idea. He exactly know what he wanted to do, and actually his plan was really good, because this whole working, traveling is really good project. And okay, I probably shouldn't say this, but actually, I think that this program can give you more knowledge than in actual studies. Because, you know, when you're going to university, you're getting knowledge from a very specific field. But when you're going to this working traveling, you're getting knowledge about yourself, about other people, society, different cultures, and about life in general. And also you can get to know stuff from your field and the things that you're interested in. So yeah, it's probably best to say this, but I think that it can be even more developing, and it can give you even more knowledge than actual studies. But also, yes, if you want to go at university, it's a good idea, because you will get probably a lot of knowledge from your field. But this is not like you need university, okay? What's wrong with working without diploma? There's nothing wrong with it, especially nowadays when we have so many opportunities to work in many fields, and we not always need university and diploma. And also, this is not like university will disappear somewhere if you're not going there right after high school. And you know, even if Li Ming will come to America like he wanted, and he will be a part of this working travel, it's not like he couldn't go at university anymore. He can always come back and come to university. Again, it's not like this university is gonna disappear because he went somewhere for a few years. And okay, when I put it like this, it looked like Jim was a terrible guardian. No, he was really good parent for Li Ming, and he really cared about him. And I really like their relation, because they both cared about each other so much, but they have huge problems with communication, and they usually didn't listen to each other, and that was their biggest problem in their relation. But in general, it was really beautiful, and Jim raised a really wise, kind, and a great person actually. Okay, Jim definitely had one problem. Even when he wanted to say something good, he really often used not the best word, and it created a huge misunderstanding between them, and it sounded like he said something bad when he didn't mean it actually. And it happened many times during this drama. But this is actually a pretty common problem between parents and kids. I really like the scene when they were arguing, and Li Ming got really mad, and he started to yell, and Jim stopped him right away before Li Ming could say something which he will regret later. He raised his voice a little bit, and he said something like, "You shouldn't yell at me," or something like this. And we could see how Li Ming get really calm automatically, and he apologized Jim, and they started to talk more in a more calm way. But yeah, I really like this scene, because this is how you should talk with your kid, and not yelling at them, not humiliate them or do even worse stuff, but do something like this. Show them that they crossing the line and they doing something bad, but not being rude for them or treat them like they're worse or something like this. So yeah, I really like this scene, and in general I really love their relation. And yeah, like I said already, Jim had some problem that he really often used not the best word to describe something what he want to say, and because of this we had so many misunderstandings between them. And one of the scene was when he said something like, "You're not only poor, but now you're also gay." And you know, it was very controversial scene in the fandom. I remember how mad people was when it was showed in the preview. But I know that Jim didn't want to say this in that way, but he again put really bad words in this, because he was just worried about Li Ming, and he knew from his own perspective how hard it had to be when you did your coming out. And you know, being straight is definitely a lot easier than being from LGBTQ plus community. And when Jim was younger, it was probably even worse because yes, it's still hard, but I think it's a lot of better nowadays. And because of this, he just was worried about Li Ming and what kind of situation he could have and how people will treat him. And yeah, again, I think that I know what he meant, but I totally agree that he put it in bad words, and I'm totally not surprised that Li Ming reacted like this. Everyone probably would react like that. And I really like that at the end when Li Ming's mom visited them, Li Ming decided on his own that he wanted to stay with Jim, and also that from this moment they start to be more understanding for each other, and that Jim started to treat Li Ming equally, and he started to actually listen to him. And yeah, that was a really nice change, and it was so nice to see. And I just love when Jim was keep talking how old he is, and that old people don't do this, don't do that, and don't like this, and don't like that. And you know, he was keep talking like he's some grandpa when he wasn't even 40. He was just a normal adult person, and that's it. He wasn't that old. And yeah, that part of him was so funny for me, and I just love when he started saying like he's so old. And I was really sad, and I feel really sorry for him when we find out about his story with his ex, and it was really heartbreaking for me to see how alive this memory still was for him and how deeply it hurt him. And you know, he was actually traumatized, and I'm not surprised actually. And on the beginning I wasn't sure if this is a good idea to dig in his ex past, but it helped him, so that was good, and I was happy for him that he finally let himself feel something for Wen and start something with him. And I went, okay, because of how he was traumatized, I wasn't surprised that he didn't want to start anything with Wen, because as we know, Wen's situation with Alan was very complicated, so I wasn't surprised that he didn't want to start anything. But when Wen finally dealt with it, I was really happy for them, and especially that Jim at this point also started to heal himself and start to understand that story doesn't need to repeat, and he can be happy, and there's nothing wrong with it. And I was really proud of him that he decided to move on and start something new and let himself just live and be happy, because he deserved it. Okay, now I think we can start to talk about Wen. And he was definitely my favorite character in this drama, and in general he become my comfort character, and he became one of my favorite characters in general from different productions. Seriously, he was such a good person, and even too good sometimes, and probably because of this he was in the situation with Alan. And I just love the way how he treated Het especially, and Li Ming, and his relationship with Li Ming was so beautiful, but I will talk about this more later. But the way how he treated Het was so precious, because he never excluded him in conversation. Even if he wasn't able to speak with him, he still tried his best. And for example, this whole scene in a coffee shop, I just love this so much for many reasons, but mostly because he was keep talking with Li Ming, but he was keep looking at Het, he was smiling to him, and you know, he was showing that he see him, and Het is also important for him, and he see that he's there, and he want to talk with him, but he wasn't able. And also when he was counting, when he was taking picture for them, it was just so precious, and seriously it was so heartwarming for me, and I just love how much he tried. And even later he started to learn sign language. It was so beautiful, and we could see this in the last scene when Jim already had this food truck, and Het and Li Ming came there, and when yeah, when okay when came to Li Ming and Het, he gave them food, and he was talking a little bit with Het. It was so precious, and seriously, I love this character so much, and especially his comments about society, and especially this one when he was talking about LGBTQ plus community, and the way why society can still not accept this, and you know, this whole social comment was really important. And please listen this carefully when you were watching this, okay? And yeah, again, I'm sorry, but I seriously such in love with Wen, and he was definitely the best character for me in this drama. Okay, now let's talk a little bit about Wen and Jim, our first couple. And on the beginning, I wasn't sure if Jim will be good for Wen, but later I started to really like them as a couple and in general. Okay, maybe let's start from the very beginning. It was a small detail, but I really liked it during their first time. They didn't kiss each other. Okay, an official version which we saw in the drama. They didn't kiss each other, and it was so good because it showed that they didn't have feelings for each other back then, and it was just pure enjoyment and that's it. And it was so funny for me how Wen was keep trying to get close to Jim and Jim was keep chasing him away. And yeah, it was definitely a hard job to get too close to with Jim, and I'm not surprised because you know, he built this huge wall and it was really hard to break in. But fortunately, Wen did it and I was really happy for them. And like I said, I wasn't sure about them on the beginning, but at the end, I really loved their story. And it was sad, yeah, many times, but it was also beautiful and super realistic. And probably that's why I really like this story. Okay, now I want to talk a little bit about Alan and his relationship with Wen. First of all, on the beginning, I wasn't a big fan of Alan and I thought that she's not the best person, but the more we get to know about him, the more I started to understand him and like him also. And yes, he was a very complicated person and I don't like many of his behavior, but you know, everyone has disadvantages, right? And I felt really sorry for him and okay, for all those characters in this drama, but this whole situation between him and Wen was really hard to see, and especially when they show us how good they were and how everything went so well between them, and then it all ended just like that. And the worst part is that it wasn't no one's fault, and you know, it wasn't like Wen was sick of Alan and he stopped loving him and that kind of stuff. He still loved him, but differently. Not he wasn't looking at him anymore as a partner, but more like a friend or like, you know, someone very important, but not like your lover or your partner. And it was really sad to see because okay, first of all, I just love how Mix and Fest portrayed those characters, and in general that they showed that kind of plot because this is happening and many people go through something like this, and we're not talking about stuff like this really often, but I really liked how they showed it very respectfully and just realistically, how people who are the part of this relationship go through this and how frustrated they are later. And you know, because it's really hard to explain it and understand it, and for both parties, because for Wen it was really hard because we could see that he also had no idea what actually happened and he also was lost and very hurt, and he tried to fall for Alan again but he just couldn't, and it wasn't his fault. And okay, maybe it sounds bad, but it's okay that he couldn't, and I'm really happy that he didn't blame himself that much. Okay, he was doing this, but he still tried to work on this and move on from this. And also on Alan example, we could see how hurt he was and how much the situation cost him, and you know, that he was very angry and frustrated because of this, which is totally understandable because, you know, everything was good and then your partner telling you that they're not loving you anymore, which is terrible to hear. And I like that later Alan understood finally that there's no chance for them anymore and he need to move on and just let Wen go. And this scene when they argued with each other, and you know, when Wen told him that he doesn't love him anymore and he slept with him because he felt sorry for him, it was really hard scene to see and it was really heartbreaking, and I felt so sorry for both of them, and I remember that I cried a lot during the scene. And when Alan hugged Wen, we could see that they still cared about each other so much, and they both actually tired of the situation and they don't like it, but they don't want to let go because, yeah, like I said, they still love each other but differently. Okay, Alan still loved Wen the same, but Wen loved Alan differently. And also, like I said, Alan also had some disadvantages, and for example, the scene in restaurant when he pushed Wen, it was totally over the limit. It should never happen, and I really didn't like how Alan behaved in this situation. I can't understand what happened in his head and what he thought and why he did this, but I'm not gonna justify him. He was really wrong back then, and he actually hurt Wen. And even if he didn't hurt him, it was just bad and it was totally over the limit. And also this scene when they broke up with each other finally, and you know, this scene in the restaurant, it was so long, but it was so well made, and we could see how hard is everything between them and how they're tired of this and that they really need to finally end this. And it was really important for both of them to move on and start everything over. And still, I think the biggest problem in the relationship was that they decided to keep living with each other in one apartment. I think that after they broke up, they should split for a while and start to kind of build stuff from the beginning. And okay, we could see that they clearly want to still have each other in their life and they were important for each other. And okay, I think that after for a few months maybe, or you know, after some time when they will move on from this breakup, they should contact with each other. And you know, they have the same circle of friends, so it was normal that they will meet each other in the future. And that's why I thought that they could be really good friends, but after a while, when you know, they will look at the situation differently. And also the scene when Alan came to hospital, I was so afraid back then that Alan did this on his own because he wanted to keep Wen close, but fortunately he didn't, and it was really an accident. And I was really proud of him that he said Wen that he doesn't need to care about him, and he called for his sister, and you know, that he actually let Wen move on. And yes, this scene when he was driving away and he saw Jim and Wen, how they're smiling and they're happy, it was really heartbreaking, and I felt really sorry for him, but I was really proud of him that he finally moved on and he just wanted to see Wen happy, how it's supposed to be. And I also really like that he talked with Jim and they clear things. And of course it would be hard for them to be close, but this last scene of this drama, yeah, it was really beautiful scene, but I was really happy to see Alan and Wen again, that they met totally accidentally, and we could see this love in their eyes, which they still love for each other, but it was more love and appreciation between friends and someone who are very important for each other, but not as a partners anymore. And yeah, I was really happy for them that they start over, and of course I was really happy for Alan and Gaipa. And I just love Wen and Li Ming relation, and I think that Wen was that kind of person who Li Ming really needed back then. Someone who will help him, support him, just listen to him and talk with him, but without forcing him to do stuff that this person wants. And Wen did exactly this. And also I really like that Wen always treated Li Ming equally, and he always know how to talk with him, and I think that was the reason why actually Li Ming opened himself for him and why they got close. And also I just love how Li Ming was supportive towards Wen, and it was so cute when he told Jim that Wen is a good guy and he tried to help them when they had problems. I really like that Wen, without interrupting so much, he tried to help Jim and Li Ming, because as we know they had some problems, and mostly because they were both really stubborn and they didn't listen each other. They talk with each other, but they rarely listen. And you know, Wen was someone who looked at the situation objectively. He wasn't like in this relation, so he could look at this from different perspective. And yeah, I just like that he tried to help them as much as he could, but without being so nosy. And yeah, like I said, I just love his character, and also I really like Li Ming's character, and I will talk about this a little bit now. And yeah, when it comes to Li Ming, I felt so sorry for him, like of course for other characters also, that he was so young and he was so stressed, and we could see many times how frustrated he was, which was completely understandable, because you know, I know that Jim cared about him and loved him so much, but he put so much pressure on him about his school, about his future and everything. And I know that he didn't want to do anything bad to Li Ming, but he put too much pressure. And you know, being a student itself, it's really hard, but Li Ming also didn't have friends. I mean, yeah, he had some, but we could see that he actually just friend with him because he didn't want to be outsider, and he just hang out with them to have some friends, and that's it. He didn't actually treat them like friends. And even if he was with them, he looked like an outsider, which was really sad, and he didn't have anyone who he can share how he feel and what it is daily, and you know, just talk and spend some time. That's why I was so happy that he met her, and that also later he had Wen, who, even if he was just talk with him and check how he's doing, then it was already enough for him. And I know that he wanted so much to be understood by his uncle, and he just want many times be listened, and he just wanted to talk with his uncle and feel that he supported him. But yeah, they had this problem that it was pretty hard for them, and for some reason I don't understand it, but Jim was expecting from Li Ming to make problems, and in general he expected the worst from him. I don't know why, because Li Ming was really calm teenager, and he was very caring, very polite, and very thoughtful. He started to learn sign language for someone because he saw that he is alone and he had no friends, and he wanted to be friends with him and be able to talk with him. Mean and problematic person wouldn't do such a thing. So I really don't understand why Jim looked at him like that. And I really like what he said when he was talking with Wen, that he think that he's in that that age that he should explore many stuff and understand what he like, what he doesn't like. Yes, he was absolutely correct, because he was still so young, and people who know what they want to do in such a young age, they're super lucky. But I think that mostly we had no idea in that age what we want, and you know, he was just on the beginning of his adulthood, and he still had no idea what he will do in the future, and it was completely normal. He doesn't need to know this at such a young age. And I think that Jim shouldn't expect this from him. And that's a small detail, but I really like that they put this. And when Li Ming was nervous or stressed, he started to play with his hands or something which he was holding. He shake his leg or he scratched his head, and he did it many times during this drama. And I have no idea which idea it was, if it was from Fourth or from director, but it was so good that they put this there, because it makes this character even more realistic and relatable. Seriously, even details in this drama were incredible. And there was one thing which I didn't like when it comes to Jim and Li Ming, and it was on Jim's birthday, and I really don't like that they pushed Li Ming to apologize Jim when he didn't do anything wrong. And we could see that he also didn't want to apologize, and he don't feel right about it, and he has full right because he didn't do anything wrong back then. And I was a little bit disappointed that even Wen want him to apologize. And I think that if they really need to push him to do this, then I think that they also should do this the same with Jim, and Jim also should apologize, not only Li Ming. And yeah, it was a small thing, but it kinda made me annoyed back then. And it was so funny for me that Fourth had the same mom in both universes, in My School President and Moonlight Chicken. And I read some theory which fans of both dramas created, that Gun and Teen story from My School President is actually a story of Li Ming and Head in different universe, and it kind of makes sense when I think about it. And I actually like this story, and I think that at this point it's kind of canon for many people. And okay, when it comes to Li Ming's mom, I wasn't a big fan of her because if I understand correctly, they didn't saw each other a lot, and she wasn't actually present in his life. And it was really hard for me to look at her as a parent when he didn't saw her for years. And you know, even if you come to your kid life from time to time and you buy them some stuff, it doesn't make you a parent. It make you more like an aunt or uncle, not a parent. And yeah, you know, when she became rich, then she wanted to be a mom. Something was off for me with it, and I was really worried that she will want to take him back to home, but fortunately she didn't. And like I said, I was really happy that Li Ming decided to stay with Jim because his whole life was there. But no matter what, I was really happy that she tried her best, and that Li Ming decided to give her a chance, and they started to create some bond. And I hope so that in this Moonlight Chicken universe they will create a great bond and they will be really close in the future, because we could see that she cares about him and she loves him. But yeah, I don't like that she wasn't there for him for so many years. It was yeah, it just wasn't right for me. And of course, I was so happy that he met Head, and I was actually happy for both of them because I feel like they were each other missing puzzle, and it was so nice to see Head who's smiling and who finally had a friend in his age with who he can talk with and spend time with. And also I really like that Li Ming was so considerate about what Het can do and what kind of stuff can be harder for him. And he tried his best to show her that he can live normally, because yeah, he just become deaf and that's it. And I really loved their relationship, and it was so nice to be in this journey with them. And it was so cute when Het started to waiting for Li Ming to show up, and you know that he was so happy to when he know that Li Ming come to his house and they will spend some time together. And they were so adorable, but at the same time I always was really sad when I was watching them, and they had so much nostalgic vibe. I don't know, maybe it was because I always was really sad when I was watching them, and you know, see how much they struggle and that they totally alone with everything really broke my heart. And I just can't imagine how hard it had to be for Hart to go through all of this on his own. And I was so mad when they showed up that her parents didn't care about him at all for all those 3 years. And the scene when he was telling them how much they felt as parents was really good. And I was crying during the scene. It was seriously so heartbreaking, and I just understand how they could treat him like this. And you know, this was so cruel because he lost his hearing and it had to be incredibly hard for him, and he need to learn new language totally on his own and deal with this situation on his own. And they were still coming to parties, meet with their friends and behave like nothing happened. Oh my god, seriously, it was just cruel. And I was so happy that they finally understood how much they failed and that they start learning sign language. And you know, I'm not saying that they should watch him all the time and be with him all the time after he lost his hearing, but I'm saying that they should treat him normally. And because he can do everything on his own, he just can have problems with something, and some stuff can be just harder for him, but that's it. It's not like he can't live on his own. He was just deaf and that's it. You know, if they would be there for him, if they would show him that they care and show their support, it would be much easier for him. And also, if they would learn sign language with him, it would be, first of all, a lot of easier for him to do this together, but also he would feel their support. But in that way, seriously, I have no words to describe how much I was disappointed by them and how mad I was. And well, I was really happy that they changed later and they start to learn sign language. And when they start to do this, they become a happy family actually. And it was so nice to see Het who was smiling not only with Li Ming but in general, and who became so careless and happy how he should be. But I was really mad at those parents. Okay, another small detail which I really like was that when Li Ming started to learn sign language, they stopped translating what Het was saying. And it showed even more how lonely Het was and that he wasn't able to talk with anyone. And only Li Ming and of course people who know Thai sign language could understand him, which was even more sad. And I think that I don't need to say that Gemini and Fold of course did such an incredible job with those characters. And seriously, I'm still impressed how amazing and talented actors they are already, because it was one of their first role and they did such a great job that seriously they deserve for many awards for those roles, and a huge applause definitely. And I really like Li Ming's reaction every single time when Het said something to them, and how excited he was. And yeah, he was so cute during this. And like you can see already, I just love details in this drama, and this is something which I'm really shocked that he could do this, and I still have no idea how Gemini did it. But when Fold as Li Ming popped this thing during New Year's Eve, the Gemini didn't move at all, and he didn't was scared or anything, how it's supposed to be, because Het is not supposed to hear this and be scared because of this. And yeah, it was really well made, but I seriously have no idea how he could do this. Okay, now let's talk a little bit about Gaipa. He was such a good person and also so adorable, and I felt really sorry for him, of course. Wow, how surprising, right, after so many characters. But yeah, for him also I was really sad, because one-sided love is terrible and I didn't wish this to anyone. And I think that when you see that someone is clearly not interested, like with Jim, then you should give up on this, because there's no point to keep suffering and hurt yourself. And this scene when Gaipa confessed Jim his feelings, It was such a well-made, and Khaotung again showed that he's such a talented actor, and I know this because I saw him in many dramas and he always impressed me. But seriously, I will probably never stop being impressed how good he is and how much effort he put in his characters. Seriously, it was such an incredible scene, and it was so sad, and it was so heartbreaking to see how he tries so much to not cry, but it was so hard for him. And also, oh, I think that all of us were really sad during the funeral of his mom, and in general that gmmtv hurt us again. And this whole scene when he was talking about his mom and how much he loved her, and when he started singing her favorite song with this shaking voice, it was so heartbreaking, and I cried so badly during this. And of course, like I already said, I was so happy for Alan and Gaipa, and also I think that they were each other missing puzzle. And when I think about them and Jim and Wen, I think they wasn't a good match for them, but for each other they were perfect. And I think with their personalities they really fit to each other. And of course, since Khaotung and Fez play them, I support them even more. And I have no idea what's wrong with me, but every single production when Khaotung and Mix are together, I start to ship their characters at some point. I was doing this during 1000 Stars, and even if I really like the main story, then still I just can't get over that I didn't saw Mix and Khaotung character there together. And here again, when there was one scene when Wen and Gaipa talk with each other after his mother's funeral, they had so much chemistry with each other in the scene, and because of this I started to ship them again. And also I started to think about Gaipa and Wen and about their personalities, and I think that they will be actually a good match for each other because they were both good people and they have this very calm vibe that yeah, I would love to see them in another universe as a couple. And also I would love to see Mix and Khaotung as a couple in some drama, especially if they would be a main couple, if they of course will agree on this. But yeah, I would love to see this drama and see them as a couple finally. And as much as I like two main couples, I wasn't a big fan of Praew and Leng because I think they both were really too immature, and especially that they would have a kid, it was really a bad idea for me. They just not mature enough to have a kid, start a family, and even be together, and they're ending hating each other, or at least if they had divorced, it's good. But usually that kind of people, they keep living with each other, they argue a lot and they fighting a lot, and they bring a hell to their kids, and their kids need to look at this and go through this. And also, unfortunately, but really often, those people vent their frustration on those kids, and they even start to hate them and blame them that they ruined their life, even if they were the ones who bring this kid to this world, which is terrible and really cruel. And yeah, I'm really worried about them, and I hope so that in this Moonlight Chicken universe they will be happy, but I really don't see bright future for them. And also I really like Gong. He was a friend of Alan and Wen, and they too definitely give him a huge headache, and I felt a little bit sorry for him because we could see that he really cared for both of them, and both of them were really important for him, and he didn't want to be in the middle of their conflict, but actually he was, and he had no idea what he should say to each of them, and he tried to help them, but you know, at the end of the day they should deal with it somehow. And yeah, he could just be there for him and support them, which he was done, and that's why I really like him. And yeah, in general, as a friend, he was really good. And okay, now I think we can come to conclusion finally, and if you somehow survived to this point, congratulations. And yeah, I'm sorry that this video is so long, but I really had so much to say. I still didn't say some stuff, but maybe in the comment section when we will talk about this, who knows. But yeah, it wasn't that important. The all important stuff which I want to say, I said this. And like I said, this drama was beautiful, and seriously, this is a work of art, and since the first to the last episode it was just incredible, and everything was on the highest level. Cast, acting, directing, screenplay, camera work, light, colors, music, literally everything. And additionally, this drama was not only beautiful and really well made, and it had a great story, but also it gave us so many life lessons, so it also was very meaningful. And yeah, how you can hear during this whole video and how much I praise this drama is definitely worthy to watch, and I highly recommend it to everyone, and especially to people who like realistic dramas with very realistic characters who are not crystal clear but they beautifully gray, then this is definitely an amazing production for you. Okay, I'm gonna say this, but I think it was the best production that I have ever seen. And yeah, that's all I wanna say about this drama. Now it's your turn. Please tell me in the comment section what do you think about this drama, who was your favorite character or characters, and just share your thoughts. I'm really curious to find out what you think, and thank you so much for spending your precious time with me today. Please remember to take care of yourself, smile a lot, and see you in the next video. Bye bye!